Stop. Do not scroll past this. Before you send that message, make that call or finalize the move you have spent weeks rationalizing. Stop right where you are. God told me to stop you. Not tomorrow, not after you have already done it. Right now, in this exact moment, before the decision that feels reasonable, defensible, and perhaps even spiritual becomes the thing you cannot take back. You did not land here by accident. Something older than code and more precise than search history positioned you in front of this message. You have been faithful in ways no one around you can see. You have held something privately that cost you more than anyone in your life fully understands. And right now you are standing at a threshold with every rational argument assembled in your favor, preparing to step off. You have prayed. You have waited. You have trusted in the costly way, not the kind that requires only intention, but the kind that required you to keep your hands open while others moved ahead of you. And still, there is nothing externally visible, no confirmation, no outward shift that gives you something to point to. Only silence. And in that silence, a thought has been forming, growing louder with each passing week. Maybe it is time to move. The thought does not feel like failure. That is precisely what makes it dangerous. It feels like maturity. It feels like wisdom finally catching up to suffering. Maybe I misheard the original direction. Maybe this season has ended and I failed to recognize the closing. Maybe what I have called waiting is actually passivity wearing obedience as a disguise. That thought is reasonable. That thought is also exactly what God sent me to interrupt. The weight of carrying this is not something you have been able to explain to anyone around you. When they ask how you are, you give the answer that keeps the conversation manageable. But in the private hours, early morning, the drive home, the moment before sleep, you are rehearsing the move, calculating what it would cost, preparing yourself to release something you were told to hold, because holding it any longer feels like the one thing you cannot afford to do. Here is what God sees that you do not: the very faculty you are about to use to justify movement, your discernment, your experience, your hard-earned ability to recognize when a season has closed, is the exact instrument being weaponized against you right now. Not your weakness, your strength. The most sophisticated form of spiritual opposition is not a temptation towards sin. It is the introduction of a good option at the precise wrong moment. There is an image I need to plant in you before we go further. A surgeon's table. No one chooses to be opened. The position is vulnerable, exposed, temporarily without the capacity to defend itself. But the surgery is not the wound. It is the removal of what the wound was concealing. What you have interpreted as a season of helplessness was not abandonment. It was the only configuration that could prepare you for what comes next. There is a word in the original Hebrew that will reframe every unanswered prayer you have ever received, every door that closed, every delay that felt personal, every silence that felt like evidence against you. I will get to it, but first, you need to understand exactly what you are about to walk away from, because what God is positioning you to receive is not a blessing in any category you have been taught to expect. If this word is already landing, if something in your chest recognized itself in what you just heard, type "I am here" in the comments right now, not as interaction, not for this channel, as a declaration that you showed up for what was prepared specifically for you, that you stopped when God said stop. I have not yet told you the most important thing. Stay with me. What I am about to show you will not simply encourage you. It will reposition you so completely that the move you came into this message ready to make will no longer feel like a viable option. It will feel like exactly what it is. Leaving the room 1 second before the announcement that was always meant to find you. Before I name what God has been doing in your silence, I need you to do something. Not metaphorically, actually. If you are somewhere you can close your eyes, close them. If you cannot, soften your gaze. Let your shoulders drop. Whatever you carried into this message, the weight of the decision, the exhaustion of the wait, the mental noise of rehearsing your next move, set it down for 60 seconds. You will pick it up again only if you still want it after what I am about to show you. What I am about to describe is not encouragement designed to make you feel temporarily better about a situation that has not changed. These are the specific marks of a person whose silence was not empty, whose season of apparent stillness was, in fact, the most productive period of their entire spiritual life. Read each one slowly. Some of them will feel uncomfortably precise. That precision is intentional. That precision is God. The first sign, there were moments, specific, identifiable moments, in the middle of the hardest weeks of this season, when you felt a peace that had no rational origin. Not relief, not numbness, not the temporary calm of distraction. A settled, unearned stillness that landed in your chest without explanation and left you almost confused by its presence. You could not manufacture it, you could not explain it to anyone who asked. That was not coincidence, that was encrypted communication. The second sign, at least once during this waiting season, and probably more than once, a passage of scripture landed with a weight so specific that you checked if someone had told the writer about your situation. Not an inspiring verse, a surgical one. Words that addressed the exact texture of what you were privately carrying, in the exact language you had been using in your own thoughts. That was not serendipity. That was a direct transmission from the one who already knew where you were standing. The third sign, you had a dream, or a series of images while half waking, that you wrote off as noise, but have not been able to fully discard. You did not share it widely. You were not certain it was from God, but it returned in fragments in moments of quiet, in the space before morning fully arrived. What you dismissed as imagination was the beginning of a language God was teaching you to read. Using imagery, your waking mind would have argued away. The fourth sign, there was a door that closed, or began closing, that you had the capacity to force open. You had the relationship, the argument, the effort available to hold it, but something held your hand, a hesitation that arrived without a reason you could defend to anyone who asked why you didn't act. That restraint was not passivity. That was the same hand that is speaking to you right now, keeping you from a room that was not yours to enter yet. The fifth sign, within the last 30 days, you prepared to make a move, drafted a message, planned a call, finalized a decision, and something stopped you. Not fear, not procrastination. A specific internal interruption you have been trying to rationalize ever since. You told yourself you would revisit it. You told yourself you simply were not ready. You were not unready. You were being held, and the hold was not yours to explain because it was not yours to generate. If any one of those 5 landed, if you recognized your own private history in even one of them, type "Pala" in the comments right now. You do not yet know the full weight of that word. I will give it to you. But type it now as a declaration that you are still in the room, that you did not walk out before the announcement was made. Here is what I need you to understand about those 5 signs taken together. They are not random patterns of a general spiritual season that apply to anyone who has waited and prayed and held on. Every single one of them is the specific fingerprint of a God who was preparing an act so categorically beyond human calculation that he had to configure your circumstances with surgical precision before releasing it into time. Do you remember the surgeon's table? The patient on that table does not understand why they have been opened. The position feels like the most vulnerable, exposed, and defenseless place they have ever occupied. But the surgery is not the wound. It is the removal of what the wound was concealing. What you have been experiencing as silence, as stagnation, as spiritual winter, that was not the wound, that was the incision. And incisions always precede the healing they make possible. There is a word in the original Hebrew that will reframe every one of those 5 signs, every moment of unexplainable peace, every surgical verse, every dismissed dream, every held hand, every interrupted move. A word that does not translate cleanly into English, a word that, once you understand it, will make it categorically impossible to call this season anything less than the most important preparation of your entire life. I said I would come back to this word. I am here. I want you to feel the weight of this moment, not as information you are about to receive, but as a doorway you are standing at. What you are about to understand will not simply reframe the silence. It will make it categorically impossible for you to call any of what you have carried in this waiting season anything less than the most important preparation of your entire life. The word is Pala. In Hebrew, palae. You have most likely encountered it in translation as the word miracle. And when you heard that, your mind organized it into a category you already owned, something unexpectedly fortunate, a favorable outcome without a natural explanation, an answered prayer that arrived without a visible source. That translation is not wrong. It is so radically incomplete that it has been causing you to misread everything this season has been saying to you. Because when you have been waiting, you have been praying toward probability, asking for something improbable, something that defies the odds. But improbable still lives inside the framework of odds, still operates within a system where human effort, human timing, and human calculation are relevant variables. What God has been preparing in your silence does not merely defy the odds. It obliterates the entire framework in which odds are calculated. The category you have been thinking in is too small for what is already in motion. Pala describes an act categorically beyond human calculation. Not surprising, impossible by human mathematics. When the Hebrew writers chose this word for the parting of the Red Sea, for the conception of Isaac in a body 90 years past biological capacity, for Gideon's 300 facing an army, counted in the tens of thousands, they were not saying God did something impressive. They were saying he operated in a domain to which human mathematics has no access from below. That is pala. That is the word God is speaking over your season right now. This distinction changes everything about what you are holding right now. You have been praying toward breakthrough, expecting God to show up in a way that redeems the cost of the wait. What he is orchestrating is a pala, something that by definition cannot be attributed to your prayer, your faithfulness, or the logical continuation of your obedience. No human explanation will be available when it arrives, and that is precisely why you cannot co-produce it, accelerate it, or exit early and preserve it. Here is what a pala cannot be. It cannot be earned. Faithfulness does not qualify you for it because it operates above the system where merit is measured. It cannot be scheduled. Pala moves in kairos, God's appointed time, outside the ticking measurement of human deadlines. And it cannot be co-created. You cannot build halfway and wait for God to close the distance. You hold position, both hands open, and the pala arrives entirely from above. And the pala you have been prepared to receive is not coming. It is already in motion in the spiritual realm. The natural world simply has not caught up yet. This is what the silence has been. Not absence. Not delay in the conventional sense. The pala was already released. What you have been living through is the interval between the release and the arrival. You are not early. You are not late. You are exactly on time for the impossible. Come back to the surgeon's table. When I gave you that image, I gave you the outside of it. Now I need to give you the inside, the instruments. The patient is still because movement would undo the precision of what is being removed. The closed doors, not coincidences. The interrupted plans, not bad luck. The held hands, not passivity. Each one was a targeted extraction of something the pala could not pass through if you carried it forward. What was being extracted was specific, a self-generated timeline that would have caused you to sprint at the exact moment the assignment required you to stand. Grief that had been misnamed as evidence of abandonment when it was evidence of incision. An interpretation of silence that, if carried unrevised into the next season, would have caused you to exit the room before the announcement the room was arranged for. The table was not the punishment. The table was the preparation. Stay with me because I need to show you a face now. One you will recognize not because the name is yours, but because the threshold they occupied was identical to the one you are standing at. Her faith was not small, her theology was not weak, and by every external measurement available to everyone watching, the story had already concluded before he arrived. The only problem with that conclusion was that God had not been consulted on the ending. Her brother had been in the tomb 4 days. In the first century Jewish world, that number carried specific theological weight. The rabbinical tradition held that the soul departed definitively by the 3rd day. 4 days was not late. It was documented impossibility, closed case. And into that documented closure, Martha spoke the most precisely positioned statement in the entire account. Lord, even now, I know that whatever you ask of God, he will give you. That was not desperation. That was pala faith, held at maximum documented cost. Before he called Lazarus out, Jesus wept, not because he did not know what he was about to do, he knew exactly. He wept because he stepped inside the weight that 4 days had cost the people who loved Lazarus. He did not observe their grief from outside, he absorbed it. God is not indifferent to what these days have extracted from you. He is weeping the same tears in the same moment that he is already calling forth the reversal. The grief and the miracle are not sequential, they are simultaneous. Lazarus did not emerge partially restored. He did not come out still wearing the symptoms of 4 days in darkness. He came out so completely that the witnesses had to unwrap him, had to participate in processing what they were seeing, because nothing in their prior experience had prepared them for the category of it. A palla does not arrive as partial provision. What is raised from the specific configuration of your waiting will come out whole in a way that forecloses any human attribution. That is where you are right now, not at the edge of an outcome you have almost earned. You are standing outside a tomb that is already marked for opening. The 4 days, however many months or years yours have constituted, were not miscalculation. They were the exact depth required for the testimony to be uncontestable. No one argues with a man who walked out of documented impossibility on day 4. No one traces that back to his own effort. There is only one conclusion available, and that conclusion is the one God has been arranging the entire time. Return to palla, not as definition now, but as assignment. Palla does not name only the act, it names the one positioned to receive it. Not every person who waited received the categorically impossible. The palla was entrusted to the one whose hands were empty enough, whose stillness was complete enough, whose obedience remained costly enough to hold the exact configuration the impossible required to arrive undisrupted. You did not earn this, you held it, and in the accounting of heaven, that holding is the qualification. Speak this out loud right now, wherever you are, in whatever posture you occupy as you receive this word. Speak it with the weight of every day the waiting has cost, and with the authority of what you have just been shown. My palla is already in motion. I am not behind. I am positioned. Say it one more time, slowly, as if you are declaring it directly to every closed door, every silent month, at once. If this word is for you, and something in you already confirmed it is, press the like on this message right now. Not for this channel, because someone who is standing at the same threshold you were standing at when this found you needs this word to find them before they make the move. What you just did sends it forward. You know exactly what that person is carrying. Your act is the interruption they are about to receive. I promised to come back to palla. I came back. But it goes deeper than the definition, and much deeper, because the word does not only describe what God is doing, it describes who you are inside it. What is coming next is the naming, the specific identities inscribed over this season of your life, the 3 classifications that carry the weight of everything you have held, and the moment you will recognize as the wall falling, not because you swung harder, but because you finally stopped swinging and shouted instead. The deepest truth is still ahead, and it has your name on it. When I said the deepest truth has your name on it, I did not mean it as poetry, I meant it as precision. There are names inscribed over this season of your life, not titles you earned through performance, not designations assigned by what you produced. These are names written before the waiting began. They describe what you were structured to carry. Receive them not as encouragement. Receive them as covenant identity. The first name belongs to every person who held ground while others moved. While people with less visible consecration, less history, and less apparent faith advanced, you remained. Not from paralysis, not from passivity, but because something in your deepest spiritual architecture refused to move without clearance from the only voice that carries final authority over your life. The world catalogued that as delay. Heaven recorded it by a different name, the positioned one. This name authorizes something specific. The strategic stillness you have been living is not a character flaw to overcome. It is a spiritual architecture to complete. When others interpret your position as inertia, you have permission to declare your placement as prophetic. The positioned one does not explain themselves to those without the clearance to understand the assignment. You hold, and you hold knowing the hold is already producing what movement could never generate. The second name carries a weight that is difficult to articulate without diminishing it. But you need to hear it, because it answers the question you have been rehearsing in the private hours. What have I actually been doing with all of this waiting? Was any of it productive? The answer is not abstract, it is precise, and it will reframe every week you counted as lost. You were not simply waiting for a miracle, you were carrying one. The extraction, the table, the incision, the long emptying of everything you tried to hold on to was not punishment. It was the creation of interior space required to contain what is categorically beyond human calculation. A pala cannot be held by hands still full of their own strategies. You are the pala carrier. The vessel hollowed out precisely to hold the impossible. This name carries a consequence you must understand. Her pala carrier cannot be compared to those around them, not because they are superior, but because they carry something that operates on an entirely different scale. Every time you measured your timeline against someone not assigned what you carry, you lost orientation. The comparison was never valid. You are not on the wrong path. You are on a path most people around you have never walked. Return to the wall for a moment. The soldiers at Jericho carried no weapons. They carried something whose presence determined the outcome. The walls did not fall because of what those soldiers did. They fell because of what those soldiers were carrying, and what that carried thing was capable of when it finally moved. You are not circling the wall because it is too strong. You are walking because what you carry is what brings it down. The third name outlasts this moment, and outlasts the pala itself, because testimony does not expire. Every person who stood at the threshold you occupy, holding a decision they had every right to make, choosing instead to obey the voice that said, "Stop." Their story became evidence for someone else's faith. Your story is already becoming that evidence for someone you have not yet met. You are the sent servant. You are not sent to perform or produce visible outcomes for those watching your life. You are sent to carry the testimony of what the impossible looks like when it arrives in a life that refused to move before the appointed time. When your pala becomes visible, people will not trace it to your intelligence or your strategy. They will see one explanation, and that explanation will become the anchor of someone else's faith on their hardest day. If you are still here, press the like gently right now, not for this channel, for the person standing at the same threshold you occupied when this word found you. They are rehearsing the same move, carrying the same weight, and running out of reasons to hold. What you just did sends this toward them. That is not interaction. That is the sent servant already functioning before the pala arrives. The surgeon's table has one final stage. The procedure is complete. What was being removed has been removed. What remains is the moment the patient is sutured, the monitors stabilize, and the eyes open in a room they could not have imagined from inside the incision. That is not a metaphor for what is coming. That is a description of where you already are. You are no longer on the table. You are waking up. I promised I would come back to something. I will. But first, there is something critical you need to understand about what happens next. Because what follows the announcement of a pala in heaven is not celebration, it is opposition. And the three forms it takes in the days immediately after your positioning is confirmed are more sophisticated than anything you face during the waiting. You need to be armed before the wall falls. I said you need to be armed before the wall falls. I meant it precisely. Because what happens in the hours and days after you receive a word this specific is not celebration, it is a coordinated response. The enemy does not oppose what God withholds, he opposes what God releases. The moment you received your positioning, a target was placed on everything you just decided to hold. Here is exactly what that opposition will look like, and the three weapons that dismantle it before it reaches you. The first tactic is the one you will not recognize until it is almost too late, because it will not arrive dressed as temptation. It will arrive dressed as answered prayer. Within days, sometimes hours, of deciding to hold, a door will open, something legitimate, something that reduces your anxiety, carries the texture of provision, and could even be framed in prayer language as confirmation. It is the counterfeit pala, designed to satisfy just enough of the hunger that you stop reaching for the real thing before it arrives. The first weapon is the shalom test. Before you accept any new door, you do not ask whether it is good. You do not ask whether it is spiritual. You ask one thing: is this shalom? Not excitement, not relief, not reduced anxiety. The settled, unforced wholeness described in Philippians 4:7, a peace that surpasses the framework of your own understanding. If what you feel is satisfaction rather than settledness, it is substitution. Close the door gently. The real thing is still coming. The second tactic is more sophisticated because it borrows the voice of people you trust. A mentor will call. A spiritually mature friend will offer counsel. A person whose discernment you have tested over years will look at your situation and confirm, gently, reasonably with Scripture, the exact move God told you not to make. The counsel will not be wrong by human standards. It will be perfectly sound and perfectly mistimed. And refusing it without appearing proud or unstable will feel nearly impossible. The second weapon is the seal of isolation, not permanent and not rejection of counsel. For a defined minimum of 3 days after receiving this word, the decision is sealed from outside voices. You are not asking for input right now. You are asking for clarity. Internal certainty must precede external confirmation, always. When you have heard from the Father yourself with the settled weight of shalom, then bring it to trusted voices. But their agreement cannot be the foundation. It can only be the confirmation of what you already carry. The third tactic is the one that has dismantled more pala recipients than the other two combined: the manufactured clock. A deadline will appear, an expiring window, a door that the enemy insists is closing forever if you do not move through it now. The anxiety it produces will not feel like a spiritual attack. It will feel like urgency, like wisdom, like the cost of missing your moment. This is the enemy's primary weapon against those positioned for the impossible, because panic and faith cannot occupy the same chest simultaneously. The third weapon is the Kairos declaration, spoken morning and night during every day of the holding period, out loud with weight. My timing is not chronos. My blessing operates in Kairos, God's appointed time. What is mine cannot be taken by a deadline I did not create. A pala operates outside the ticking measurement of human schedules. By definition, it cannot expire. Any urgency that produces panic rather than faith is a counterfeit clock, and you have just been given the authority to name it as such. We break the spirit of premature movement and reasonable compromise. We break the counterfeit urgency manufactured to abort the miracle before its arrival. We break every clock the enemy set to make you run before the Father said go. These three weapons are not theories. They are the specific equipment for the specific terrain ahead. You are not entering an easy season. You are entering the most contested stretch between promise and manifestation. The enemy does not oppose what is generic. He opposes what is specific. The precision of what you just received is the measure of the opposition it will attract. But you are not undefended. You are positioned, armed, and already inside the protection of what was spoken over you today. Before I lead you into the prayer that will seal everything you have received, subscribe to this channel right now, not for content, not for the next video, so that the next word prepared specifically for you finds you without resistance, without delay, without the interference of a timeline you were never meant to manage alone. You do not find these words accidentally. They are dispatched. Subscribe so the next dispatch reaches you in the moment it was appointed to arrive. The deepest truth is still ahead. What I am about to declare over you now is not a summary of what you heard. It is the activation of it. The prayer that follows is the shout before the wall falls. You have held through everything I have named. You are still in the room. It is time to receive what the room was arranged for. Close your eyes if you are somewhere you can. If not, soften your focus until the world around you narrows to this moment. Place your hand over your heart, not as gesture but as declaration, that what follows is not heard from a distance. You are not preparing to speak a prayer. You are preparing to receive one. What is about to be declared over you has already been spoken in the spiritual realm. This is the moment it lands in time. Breathe slowly. Let the weight of the decision you carried into this message settle beneath your hand. You are not releasing it into uncertainty. You are releasing it into the custody of the Father who sent the warning that stopped you. What happens now is not a prayer you are generating. It is a prayer being spoken over you. Receive it with open hands. That is the only posture the impossible requires. I release over you now every narrative that named the silence as evidence against you. Every month in stillness that your own mind translated as divine indifference, forgotten promise, heaven gone quiet. That interpretation is broken from your memory today. The silence was not abandonment. The silence was encryption. You were not forgotten inside it. You were being prepared by it. Speak out loud right now. The silence was not against me. It was for me. I release the schedule you built around the promise, the internal deadlines, the anniversaries you marked and mourned when they passed without arrival, the calculation of how much longer you could hold before the holding became evidence you had misheard. That timeline was not faith. It was anxiety dressed in calendar language. Your pala does not operate in chronos. The schedule you created is released back to the Father who never consulted it. I release the specific move you walked into this message holding. You know exactly what it is. Not as a defeated surrender, but as a returned gift. The plan you assembled, the call you drafted, the decision you had every rational right to make. I release it from your hands into the Father's now, where it either becomes the preparation the real thing requires, or dissolves because it was never the real thing at all. I release the weight of standing before people who measure faithfulness by visible evidence, the private embarrassment of continued obedience in a season where no outcome has arrived to justify it. That shame is not yours to carry forward. The pala cannot be humanly attributed, which means the absence of visible proof is not a deficit. It is the protection of your testimony. Speak this. My story is not late. It is being made uncontestable. Type pala received in the comments right now, not as interaction, as covenant, as the declaration that your hands are open, your position is held, and what was released in this prayer carries legal authority in the spiritual realm because you agreed to it. Type it now, because someone watching you receive this is being activated by the sight of it. I call forward the positioned one, the one who held ground while others advanced, who remained when retreat was reasonable, whose stillness was recorded in heaven, not as inaction, but as consecration. You are authorized to occupy the territory assigned to you without explanation, without apology, and without the confirmation of anyone who does not carry clearance to understand your assignment. You do not wait for permission to hold. You are already authorized. Step into it now. I call forward the pala carrier, the vessel emptied by the table, hollowed by the incision, made interior ready through the precise extraction of every strategy you tried to substitute for the impossible. You were not depleted by this season. You were qualified by it. What you carry cannot be held by hands still full of their own calculations. The pala carrier does not reach for the impossible. They simply stop blocking what was already dispatched from above. I call forward the sent servant, whose testimony will become the anchor of someone else's faith on their hardest day. You are not waiting for your story to be worth telling. It is already being composed in heaven. When the pala arrives and no human explanation is available, your account of this moment, the day you stopped, the word that held you, the move you did not make, will be the evidence another person stands on when their 4 days have passed and they are still in the dark. The wall does not fall because you swung harder. It falls because you stopped swinging, stood in your position, and declared what God said was true before a single stone moved. Jericho did not require better weapons. It required 7 days of commanded stillness, followed by 1 act of pure declaration. You are at the shout. The wall is already finished. It simply has not fallen into time yet. What you are about to receive was never withheld. It was always pala, categorically beyond the calculation you were using to measure its arrival. Do not say amen yet. We are not finished. Stay with me. I place a covering over this decision, the specific one you walked into this message holding, and every door that will present itself in the coming days dressed as a reasonable alternative to the position you were called to hold. No counterfeit provision will gain access to your yes. No offer carrying the texture of relief but not the weight of shalom will succeed in drawing you across a threshold the Father did not open. Every door the enemy constructs to interrupt what God is building is sealed now by the same authority that sent this word to find you. I place a covering over your mind, specifically against the counsel that will arrive from the voices you have trusted longest, the mentor who will call, the spiritually mature friend who will reason with you in Scripture. Those relationships are honored by God. He will not allow the authority you have rightly placed in them to become the mechanism of your premature exit. Your mind is covered against any voice that confirms the move before the Father releases it. That counsel will wait at the perimeter of your heart until the one who sent this word says it is time. I place a covering over your clock against every manufactured deadline, every window framed as expiring, every urgency arriving without the signature of a God who operates outside the system where deadlines hold jurisdiction. A pala does not expire. It cannot be lost to a clock the enemy set without the Father's authorization. The anxiety of now or never is stripped of its power over you today. Your time belongs to the one who created it, and he has already spoken. Hold. Now I need you to be still. Not for a moment, for as long as what I am about to deliver requires. What comes next is not the voice of a messenger. What you are about to receive is a word from the Father, not to everyone in this room, but to you, to the one who came in holding a plan and stayed long enough to hear the most important thing. I see you. I have seen you in every private moment of obedience that no witness was present to record. Every choice you made when retreat was reasonable, when walking away would have been understood by everyone in your life, when no one watching would have called it failure. I saw it. I saw you hold open hands in the moments you most needed to grip something solid. You were not invisible in your waiting. You were fully visible to the only witness whose record of you will outlast every account anyone else has kept. I have never looked away from you. Not once. I know the cost. Not in a general sense. Specifically, I know the exact weight of what you have carried privately and what each week of holding has extracted from you. I was present inside the cost in ways you did not yet have the language to identify. The silence between us was never empty. It was full of my presence, full of the precision of what I was constructing around you and within you, full of a love too sovereign to interrupt the process it was overseeing. Silence from the Father is not absence. It is the sound of surgery performed by hands too careful to speak while they work. You did not mishear me. The direction you received in the beginning was accurate. What has felt like the closing of a season was not a closing. It was a deepening. I do not withdraw my word when the weight grows costly. I do not reassign your positioning because the natural world has not yet confirmed what I have already spoken. The instruction stands. I am not rescinding it today. I am reconfirming it with the full weight of everything already set in motion in the realm you do not yet have eyes to see. I told you to hold. I am still telling you, hold. The voice that called the move wisdom, hear me clearly. That voice borrowed my language, but it was not mine. I do not weaponize your intelligence against my own purposes. I do not dress capitulation in the clothes of spiritual maturity and present it to you as growth. The wisdom that descends from above is first pure, then settled. And what you felt when you rehearsed that decision was not shalom. It was relief. I am your peace. Not the management of outcomes, not the reduction of anxiety, the settled wholeness that surpasses the framework of your own understanding. What I am asking of you is not performance. It is presence. Stay in mine. What I am preparing for you is not what you have been praying toward. It is categorically beyond it. I did not configure this entire season to bring you to the edge of what you hoped for. I configured it to bring you to the threshold of what I planned before you asked. Your faithfulness shaped the container. The pala will exceed it. Stay in the room. What is about to be announced was always meant to find you here, in exactly this position, having made exactly the choice you're making right now. Not yesterday. Not when it was already too late. Now. I am proud of you. Receive what was always yours. Take a breath. Let what you just received settle beneath your hand. You are committed, you are commissioned, you are sent. Say it now, out loud, with the weight of every day this season extracted and every truth this word has returned to you. You are committed. You are commissioned. You are sent. One final time, with the full authority of the name that was written over your life before you understood what it would cost to carry it. You are committed. You are commissioned. You are sent. Do not say amen yet. Sit in this. Now, you may say amen. Send this to someone whose faith is still standing, but whose hands are getting tired. Not someone who has already given up, someone who is deciding right now. You know exactly who I am describing. They are hours, maybe minutes, from pressing send on the move God is trying to interrupt. They have assembled every rational argument. They are not sinning. They are about to step out of the room 1 second before the announcement. You were stopped today. Be the interruption they are about to receive. You came into this message holding a plan. You leave holding a position. There is a weight to this moment that does not need explanation or commentary. The wall is marked. The pala is already in motion in the realm that governs what this one will produce. Your name is on an announcement that has not yet been made public. Carry that quietly, the way you have carried everything else in this season. Open hands, steady feet, the settled certainty of a father who has never once been wrong about you.